Welcome to another edition of Think Out of the Can, where we challenge you to take ordinary ingredients and create
Extraordinary food.
extraordinary food. You know
Yeah.
what's coming up?
Today's Thursday, Friday.
Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So today we're going to be talking about our Thanksgiving thorns, what we do for Thanksgiving. We're going to bring them in, and we have a special guest coming that's going to do one of our life points.
All righty. Well,
I know, it's kind of exciting, huh?
so what are you preparing? Oh,
That's your
I'm
job.
preparing. She gives me these crazy ideas and I got to make a recipe out of them. And then,
Because you're talented like that.
okay,
You're
well,
from New York.
no, I'm from Texas. I was from New York.
Well, our audience, one of the people in the
I
audience is.
know. Anyway, so yeah, Thanksgiving. I love Thanksgiving. You know, a lot of people don't know this, but Thanksgiving is the #1 family holiday of the year. It's not Easter, it's not Christmas, it's not 4th of July or Memorial Day or Labor Day. It's Thanksgiving. And of course, now there's a
Is
lot of
it
family.
Thanksgiving or is it Thanksgiving?
Um,
Isn't that what you always say?
yes, I do. Up north, we have let me see, the accents on the second syllable. We say Thanksgiving, insurance. And down south, you say Thanksgiving and insurance. But
I
anyway,
think because
why are we
we're
even?
very exciting
You
here.
know what? I guess we're reaching out to the New York and the Northeast area too, because I mean, this is really going global. I mean, let's face it. Anyway, so Thanksgiving, I mean, everybody loves Thanksgiving and different families have different, special items that they do. And generally speaking, there's turkey. But what about the day after? I mean, me personally, I like Thanksgiving mostly because the next day or maybe later that night, I can have a turkey sandwich, with mayo and stuffing or dressing, as you call it, and cranberry. But what about all the other stuff?
I think we can figure something out with that.
I think
In
so.
this first recipe, it's a kind of a with the cranberry, it's kind of like a cranberry relishy type of thing, right?
I never ever liked cranberry. What do they call it? Cranberry jelly or cranberry, whatever it's called in the can. As a kid, as an adult, I never liked it. So I created a recipe. Originally, it was cranberry orange relish. And so today, because you have different fruits that are part of Thanksgiving, I'm going to start with a cranberry pear peach relish.
You know what I like about this?
Well,
You know, when you have that cranberry, you're scared that it's going to come out. It's like a blob coming at you.
well, that's a lot of gelatin in there, and we actually to thicken it we use cornstarch. But anyway, I'm going to get started with some water. Now my pot is already heated. I'm going to start with some dried cranberries. Now, if you have fresh cranberries, you can do it the same way. The dried cranberries, I just want them to poach a little bit, not really long because they're going to be in this recipe for a while. But I want to get that started. Have them poach and soften just a little bit. And while they are,
Which you can do that with raisins
yeah, you
for
could do
a
it.
for
Raisins, craisins. I mean, if you have apricots, you can chop those up if they're dried apricots. Anyway, it's a dried fruit. Now I'm going to start putting in canned fruit. So, we have a lot of food pantry recipients today. I mean, I imagine that, that Thanksgiving, we're going to have that many more people because they're having family over. And so they get a lot of canned goods. They get, canned fruits and canned vegetables and so on. And we try to use as many ingredients as possible that they're giving out. So I've got some canned peaches that I diced up or chopped up. I have some canned pears. Now, if you have fresh fruit, you can do fresh fruit.
Are these drained?
What's
I
that?
mean, did you drain these?
Yes, they are drained, and we save the syrup because we're going to use the syrup for a little bit of extra flavor and a little extra sweetening. So this is all cooking. I'm going to crank this up just a little bit. Mix it all up. And while it's cooking, I'm going to add some sugar.
About how much sugar do you think that is?
This for this recipe, it's about 2 tablespoons of sugar. And it's really starting to bubble now, and you can smell all the different fruits cooking together. I'm going to add some orange juice. Now, this happens to be orange juice concentrate. It's going to give it a really nice flavor to add to the fruits.
Can you show the audience? I think that would be,
Sure.
it looks good.
I don't know if you can see it right here.
It actually, I would think you can even make it a juice. Strain the fruit out.
Yeah. Yes, you could. But again, we're going to thicken this with cornstarch so it's a relish. I'm going to add some of the syrup. And then I've got cornstarch here. I'm going to add the syrup to the cornstarch. See, now in New York, we would say syrup. But since I've been living down in Texas longer than New York, I say syrup.
Well, let me just add in, right before we went on, somebody that's here filming, she said, "Are you from New York?" And so we got on this whole like New York kick. So we have to thank her for that comment.
Yes. So I'm mixing the cornstarch. You want to make sure you mix it so that there's no lumps at all. I'm going to add we have this recipe listed. And so now what that does, when you mix cornstarch with either cold water, cold juice, this cold syrup, it's going to thicken, and you want to make sure that you have high heat, because whether you use a roux, which is flour and butter or oil, and you make this paste, or whether you use cornstarch with a cold liquid, you have to have it pretty high. It's not going to make its maximum thickness unless you have it on high heat, and it's really starting to thicken now. So you let this, once it starts to boil, turn it down and let it simmer for, well, you're going to see what the thickness is, and it'll thicken even more in the refrigerator when it cools down. So it's going to be the perfect kind of relish or gel type of thickness. And I think we have an example.
We have an example.
And this is really, really delicious stuff. So that's cranberry, pear, and peach relish. And this goes great with your turkey. It'll go great with ham. I mean, there's a lot of usages that you can have this relish. And remember, these are canned vegetables, canned fruits. But if you have fresh fruits, just be creative. Whatever. The whole point of Think Out of the Can is to use what you have and be creative with it. And so there you have this great relish ready for Thanksgiving. Or is it Thanksgiving?
It just depends on where you're from.
All right.
I am so excited because we get to share with you what we do for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving. That's what I'm going to say. So, our scripture today, our first life point is thankful for the thorns. Colossians 4:2. I might get a little teary-eyed today. So, whew, that's
Well, I'm gonna start and say how this all happened.
well, let's do our scripture and then
Okay.
our scripture is Colossians 4:2. Continue in prayer and watch with thanksgiving.
Amen. So when I gave a testimony at church years and years ago in 2005, and the whole church was leaving the church, and one person, this female, was walking down towards me and the pastor. And I thought it was going to be filmed and they'd put it up on the screen like so often you have it in church. But he said, no, this needs to be live. I really want it to be live. So I gave the testimony, on stage. Anyway, so Kim comes down and we meet. Well, it was a year and a half later that just through circumstances we met again. And so I said, hey, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? I don't have family here. And what about you? So she said, I hate Thanksgiving. I don't like Thanksgiving. And I said, why? Well, she said, just different things in life. So I said, okay.
It was never a thankful time.
Right.
So I just would rather be quiet by myself.
So I said, we're going to make a reservation at this hotel in the Galleria area of Houston. And I had read this thing about a year beforehand called Thankful for the Thorns. And so what I do is I buy her a dozen roses on Thanksgiving Monday. And
y'all do this. It's
really
amazing.
do it. And so, she enjoys the roses, so do I, for, all the way up till Thursday. And just before we go wherever we're going for Thanksgiving, we
Sorry.
clip off The rose.
Oh, it's sad. You can put it in a bowl. You can enjoy. You can take
Yeah.
a bath
A
with it.
little bowl of water and just let them sit. You know, you have a dozen roses for the whole week.
But you're gonna love this. So we have these labels, and so when we go to
And a
dinner,
pen.
we have have an appetizer, and then we have to name what happened that year, the thorns.
What are the
of the year.
thorns? Everybody has something. It's not like we want to bring up the bad stuff, but we want to know what were the thorns? Like this year, my knee is killing me. I'm going to have knee replacement surgery in the 1st of January. And so I would put, you know, my knees.
Here's the first one.
But I don't just put what I'm thankful for.
I mean, what the thorn is.
What the thorn is. So the thorn is that my right knee has really been killing me. 50 years of standing on my feet as a chef kind of got wore out. But then I have to put, what am I thankful for? Well, I'm thankful. There's a lot of people that can't walk. There's a lot of people that can't drive their car and step on the gas pedal or the brake pedal or whatever. I'm thankful that I still can. I may limp and it may hurt, but I'm thankful that I can still do pretty much everything that I've been able to do. It's just a little more difficult. I'm also thankful that I can set up surgery and we have surgeons. You know, Jesus said to his disciples that after I'm gone, you will do greater works than I. And it was a pastor who told me one time, or not told me, but he gave a sermon on why would Jesus say that we would do greater works than he? We can't do greater works than he. And he used the medical industry as an example. You know, he made the blind see. Well, now we have all these different types of eye surgeries. He made the lame walk. Well, here I am, you know, lame basically, and we have surgeries and so on. So he was using the medical field to give an example of, you know, God has given us creativity, it's given us a smart mind, you know, to be able to do greater works than he, because for him, he didn't even have to snap his fingers and it was done. So then I put down these different things. I can have surgery, I can still walk, and then we wrap the stem. And then I hold it.
And then I would do one, and I'm not going to do one right now because I don't really know. You know what I can say I'm thankful for?
What?
I'm thankful for you, and I'm thankful for the students that are filming and Jason being here.
For Jason.
This is amazing to have an idea to implementation. It's been beautiful.
It really is. You know, we have, once again, we have the Elkhart High School students, come out here, they film it, they direct it, they'll put up a sign saying, you know, smile more, or can you replace onions? And then they go back to school and they edit it. And every single time that they do a video, they improve, you know, collectively they get together and say, hey, how about if we do this? How about if we do that? So we are grateful for Elkhart. We are grateful for Ms. Reese, who is the teacher in that class. So that's what we do. We are thankful for the thorns.
And it's funny, when we went to dinner, we've had the waitress comes over and she's like,
what are you doing? And
what are y'all doing?
And other people that might be around, that are around,
they're like
looking and they're like,
listening.
What? You know, we got these weird stems instead of, you know, some husbands will give the wives, you know, other flowers. So anyway, it's thankful for the thorns. Think about during Thanksgiving and year round. You know, there's going to be some thorns, there's going to be some challenges, some negative things, some sad things, but there's always a reason why we should be thankful. And the number one thing that we should be thankful for is, and the operative word in the Christian world, and really everybody's world, is through. Mm-hmm. You go through some tough times, but the fact is you go through them.
Yes.
So that's what we do. Them. Thankful for the thorns.
Thankful for the thorns. Mm-hmm. We're on to our next recipe. And I like this one because it is things that you have already made. You know, it's already prepared.
Yep.
So it's pretty easy to take those prepared things and create something new from it.
Well, that's the whole point. We're using all the different foods that are generally left over for Thanksgiving. So shepherd's pie. We had an Englishman, Lord Vincent Constantine, who came in from London on a house that I was managing, a big, large mansion in Houston. And he scolded me And he said, it's not shepherd's pie, it's cottage pie.
He
Or
was
whatever.
from London. Why?
London way. Anyway, whatever you want to call it, shepherd's pie, and most people like it. It's a real comfy food. It's putting some meat, some vegetables, and some seasonings in a pot. You cook it, and then you put it in a bowl, or it's got to be an oven-proof item, a dish, and then you top it with mashed potatoes. And so that's what we're going to do. So here we go. I'm going to start with butter. You can use oil if you want. Butter gives it a little bit more flavor, and I'm not going to be cooking this, very long.
Do you need another container to put the ingredients in?
Um,
Or are you just gonna cook it like?
yeah, I'm just gonna cook it. We have samples for everything that we do here, so ordinarily I would put it in and show you. But so the butter is going real well. It's bubbling. I'm going to put in some diced onion. You can put in some garlic if you want. I want to cook that just until the onions are translucent, or when they're no longer white, they're kind of clear looking or whatever. Just a couple of minutes, because I'm going to add more whatever vegetables you have left over. If you have mixed vegetables, you have broccoli, it doesn't matter. Okay, it's just putting vegetables in here. And it's a really good dish because you're getting all the ingredients that you're supposed to have in a meal.
We have our canned item.
Yeah, we have our canned item, which is mixed vegetables. This is the time I like to put in all the dry seasonings. So we have salt, pepper, and in this instance, poultry seasoning. If you don't have poultry seasoning, it's basically a mixture of sage, garlic powder, salt, pepper. So I'm putting that in.
What you would put on your turkey.
Yep, what you would put on your turkey. Again, we're trying to use all the ingredients so you have just creative. Oh man, that poultry seasoning smells so good. It really smells good. Now at this point, I'm going to add a little bit of flour because I want it to thicken. I'm going to mix that all together with the vegetables, and well, onions are vegetables. The reason I put the dry seasoning in when I'm sauteing or frying the vegetables is because they really blend in very well. If you put the dry seasoning into some liquid, they just kind of float around and they don't do a whole lot of flavoring. So this is really thick. I'm going to put in turkey stock. I mean, you're having turkey, so you're going to have leftover, turkey stock or gravy. If you don't have the stock itself, you can put in the gravy.
Or you can use chicken stock.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to do canned chicken, because we're doing canned goods, I know they have canned turkey now. I saw that. That was exciting.
So because I added the flour, it's thickening up. And it's now that I'm going to put in leftover turkey. Again, I like to mix all the ingredients. I like to say equal opportunity cooking.
We just got a good job from our film crew.
So you can see that that liquid has already thickened.
We thank you, film crew. It's always nice to know, if you're doing a.
So then the last thing that I would do is I would take my leftover mashed potatoes, and I mean, what's Thanksgiving without mashed potatoes? You put this mixture in in an oven-proof bowl, or if you have a whole big bunch of it, a whole oven-proof tray, and just spread it out evenly. You top it with the leftover mashed potatoes. What I like to do is I like to put a little, dots of butter around the top. That'll help the potatoes kind of brown a little bit. And do we have a sample?
We do.
No, that's not.
So we had a little bit of confusion this morning, but we're good.
And there it is. Leftover Thanksgiving shepherd's pie. Man, it's good.
Shepherd's pie.
And I'm not saying that because I cooked it. I didn't use anybody's recipe, but we know what shepherd pie is. So that's there you have it.
we're on to our second life point. And so the scripture we're using today is, or the life point I'm having is struggles lead to personal growth. And the scripture is James 2:2-4. Consider it pure joy when you face trials, because the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let that perseverance finish its work, that you may mature and complete, not lacking anything. And I thought it would be good to have an audience member or our film crew come up. So
Alrighty.
she's going to come up and join us, and we're going to talk about, come in the middle, and we're going to talk about the testing of our faith. Talk about when you go through trials and what it does. And so let's think about, is there a trial that you went through either with a friend or with your parents or with somebody that there was a
A
struggle?
school subject, whatever.
Yeah, that helped you get to that next level. Because when you're in the middle of it, it never feels good,
Yep.
right?
No, it's not fun.
You feel like, it's too much. So has there ever been anything that you kind of you struggled through? Maybe it's a school subject.
Yeah. Well, when I fail a test, it usually gives me like the motivation to kind of study more for it and stuff like that.
And so when you're like, say you're failing a test, do you ever like ask the teacher to help you, or do you ever go to somebody at school? And does that ever grow you like closer with that person because y'all like spend some time together? Is there anything else that you can think of that was another struggle? Maybe it's something that you've become closer to a friend because of a struggle that happened. It's not just grades, but it's like, say you had a situation that happened, and then you struggled through it, and then you got to the other side of it, and you felt victorious.
Yeah.
So when you were going through it, what did you feel like?
Well, I felt, terrible. I felt like I couldn't get out of it. Just
Like there's no answer.
there's no end to it. You feel like you're in a hole. You're digging a hole.
So think about these people that are sitting in line that are watching this. They're sitting in line getting food from the food pantry, and they feel like, what am I doing? Is this ever going to end? Is there anything better? And so you're helping them by talking about that. So, and so you're in the middle of this thing. And so when you got to the other side of it,
You feel relieved. You feel like you finally made it. You feel like,
did it
And-
grow
and-
you?
And you kind of, and you reflect on what you learned along the way. It's kind of, looking in the mirror type of thing.
Yes. Well, thank you for your including into our life points here, and thank you for your information and helping the audience, because we forget that. We forget that we're in here filming and there's people out there receiving food, and they feel that way. They feel like, we take for granted, we go to school or we go home, but there's people in real struggles out there that all of a sudden they've lost a family member, and now they're responsible for.
Or Thanksgiving's coming up and
Yeah.
they feel like they don't have, enough money to go and purchase what they need to purchase, so that, they can have a Thanksgiving. And of course, they're thankful for all of you who are filming this. They're thankful for the United Church Charities of Elkhart, which collectively all the churches, Elkhart is the church. All the churches work together. This is not about whether it's the Baptist Church or Family of Faith or the Methodist Church. It's about all of them coming together as the church, exactly the way Jesus had planned it. And, they're grateful that we have this monthly food pantry. And I can tell you that even though the news on the street, if you will, is that, benefits are going to be shut down and food banks don't have any food. Let me tell you something. And I know that one of the students is out there right now filming and actually he's taken still shots, regular photographs of what's going on out there, because there is a world of plenty out in the area where all of the volunteers are packaging and distributing the food for we call them food clients, food recipients. So much to be thankful for.
Yes, and we're thankful for you. Thank you. All right, we're on to our our third recipe. Ooh, Thanksgiving leftover.
Okay.
So we had our shepherd's pie,
Mhm.
and now we're on to our Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm not cooking this one. I'm putting it all together, and then it ends up getting baked. And so this is Thanksgiving leftover casserole. I mean, this is just putting everything into everything in one pot, mixing it all up, and then topping it and putting it in the oven. So
Pretty much you should have most of these
Yeah,
things
I-
at your,
Yeah.
at home.
so why would there be cream of mushroom soup? What does everybody make with cream of mushroom soup?
They make green bean casserole.
Green bean casserole. I mean, green bean casserole. So I'm going to start with some leftover cream of mushroom soup. I'm going to add milk because that's the condensed. We had an extra, let's just say we had an extra can left over. So I'm going to add some milk to it.
That's always a good thing to have on hand anyway.
Make sure you mix it so that there's no lumps. Next, I'm going to add the leftover turkey. Again, I always tell you, mix all the ingredients, every ingredient, mix it in, equal opportunity cooking. Leftover veggies. Now this may, seem kind of like the shepherd's pie, but it's a little bit different.
We have stuffing this time.
Yep. I want to add my seasonings. Now again, this may be redundant, but the fact is that you have poultry seasoning, salt, pepper, and you want to have that, Thanksgiving flavor. I mean, that's what it's all about.
He works really hard, so we have to make sure that just like he's
Yeah.
working out.
So I'm mixing, once again, it's salt, pepper, and poultry seasoning. But, again, if you don't have poultry seasoning because you used it all on your turkey, you can have garlic powder. Just be creative.
You could
I
do
say it-
ham. I
Yeah.
just thought about that.
Yeah.
Sometimes people cook ham or you have just like little deli meat.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Whatever, it's all about leftovers. It's all about being creative, and mostly, it's all about not wasting. We did a demo at a place in Palestine, Texas, called the Curious Museum, and among other things, we had a paper on the wall that we directed everyone that came to take a look at. The fact that 1.6 billion pounds of food is wasted a year in the United States. And certainly we're not the only ones that waste food worldwide. And believe it or not, 40% of all food that's available to us worldwide is wasted. 40%. These are statistics, unless they're lying to us. It's something that I study a lot because, again, I like to, repurpose food, which means that if you have it left over, this is what we're doing here. We're repurposing the food instead of throwing it out. There's no point. And the other big thing about wasted food is that I think it's, gosh, I forget the statistic, but I think it is close to 30% of landfills are wasted food instead of being composted or put down your incinerator, your
disposal.
garbage disposal, or whatever. These are real numbers, and so this is one of the reasons we do think out of the can to be creative with what you have. If you don't have the seasonings that I use, then go into your pantry. You have some kind of seasoning. I wouldn't put cinnamon in here. But just look and just be creative. And when you put an ingredient in, taste it and see, it's not too bad. Only put a little bit in to see whether it melds with the recipe. And then if you like it, then you can add as much as you think would be fitting for it. So the next thing is I'm going to use the the stuffing or dressing.
And we went in a couple of homes where they don't eat vegetables. And I mean, there's one home that a huge bucket, share with someone, because just keeping it and letting it go bad is not a good idea.
No, it's not. So the stuffing, or dressing, whichever you want to call it. I grew up and, back in the day, we used to really stuff our turkeys, but then they found out that people weren't cooking their turkeys long enough to actually have the stuffing itself get to a proper temperature, and there was a lot of foodborne illness. So they're always saying, don't stuff your turkey anymore.
So review those ingredients one more time.
So I started with cream of mushroom soup, the condensed version that you got right out of the can. I added a little bit of milk, not as much milk as when you want to make soup. I wanted this still to be a little bit thick. Then I added the leftover turkey, or if you have ham, you can, have leftover ham, the leftover vegetables, whichever they were. I added poultry seasoning, salt, and pepper. I added the dressing in with this mix. Now I'm going to add cheese,
The stirring,
yep,
getting it
just,
all mixed up.
yep, you want to make sure it's all evenly mixed in there. I mean, cold, this looks really good. So once I have that, I'm going to put it into an oven-proof dish.
You could even top that with stuffing, right?
I'm going to top it with
Oh,
stuffing.
look at that.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
I like it.
So what I'm doing is I'm going to,
Now that looks good.
I'm just going to put these little chunks in there.
There's
Just
something
on
about
top.
the bread and the
Yeah.
vegetables and the cheese all combined.
And you'll see how it looks with our sample. And of course, a little extra cheese doesn't hurt anybody. I'm going to finish it by just putting a little bit of cheese over the top. So this is how it looks going in to the oven. And this
New and improved.
is what it looks like coming out. This is really tasty. I do not do any recipes on film unless I've tasted them myself. And I have to make some adjustments because, again, I've never made these recipes before. So I have to taste incrementally. I add seasoning, taste it, add seasoning, taste it, but I will not put anything out here that I haven't tried myself and that I wouldn't eat. This is not just about trying to put everything into a bowl or a pan and cooking it. So that's what you have. You have a Thanksgiving leftover casserole.
And I'm going to leave this back here for our cameraman, Jason.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's the one thing he always says, hey, can I have that recipe?
As we're setting up, he goes and he looks at the recipes and goes, I'll take the shepherd's pie and I'll take.
Too bad he's never in front of the camera because he's quite a character.
Yeah, he really is.
Oh, we want to say happy anniversary to you.
I know. Their first anniversary, he and Lexi, it's coming up on Sunday.
Yay.
Right? Is it the 9th? You and Lexi are so important to us. I will never forget
Yes.
November 9th. I will never forget going to your wedding and celebrating that beautiful marriage.
So we're on life point number 3, thankful for deeper faith. And Isaiah 26:4, trust in the Lord forever, for the Lord himself is the rock eternal.
He is the rock.
Would you like to come up again and join us? Yes. Come on up here. I'm putting her on the spot. So I like putting people on the spot because you kind of grow when you don't have time to really prepare. We just kind of talk in front of the camera, and then it becomes easier because that's how I became comfortable in front of the camera.
Well, and I think most people know,
She's got the hair for it.
and if you don't, that the number one fear of people around the world is public speaking.
Oh, yes. So thankful for deeper faith. Trust in the Lord forever, for the Lord himself is the rock eternal. So anybody got any ideas about the rock eternal? I mean, for me, I think about God being the rock eternal. I think about I can stand and know that he's there to solve my problems, so I don't have to carry them myself. What about you? What do you have?
What, does he just know to solve your problems, or do you communicate with him through what?
Prayer.
Through prayer.
Right, you
And
let him
prayer doesn't have to be all, like this. It can be if that's how you feel. But
Mhm.
prayer is just talking to God.
Yep.
You know, I have on March 19th on my phone calendar back in 2011, I was so upset at God in the middle of, and we were in the middle of doing our devotionals. Kim and I have devotional time every morning. We had it before we came here today. And I'm reading these devotionals, and all of a sudden, this anger just welled up in me. And so, you know what I started to do? I started to look up and I said, "Oh, yeah? So you know you have the plans for me and they're for good and not evil?
And you
Is
know what
this?"
I thought? I thought he was yelling at me.
Yeah.
I was like, why are you yelling
I
at me?
was screaming scripture back at God. But you know what? He was okay with that because I was
Mhm.
being real. And you know, prayer is just being real with God, just
Well, I
talking to
remember
God.
there's several times that one time he got up and like started walking, and I'm like, and it's not a always kind of thing, but there's times in your life that I'm sure you get that you have a fight with somebody at school or a friend, and you're like, oh my gosh, why is this happening? And I pray that it doesn't start happening because we said something. But because sometimes that's what the devil does. He kind of knows out there. He knows what to do. So, but anyway, there's times in life where you're just sitting there and all of a sudden something happens, and then you're livid about what that situation is, and you feel like, why do you keep attacking me? Why does this keep happening to me? Do you
And
ever feel that
who are
way?
you saying that to?
God, you're
Right.
saying, why is this happening to me? And God's like, I'm not attacking you. I'm growing you, right?
Just like the last one.
Yeah. So, is there anything you have to add to that?
Um, not y'all covered it all actually.
Well, don't ever feel, most important, just being in front of the camera is such an important thing.
It is.
And, what's your name?
Allison.
Allison is such an integral part. Tell them what you're doing here.
Well, this is my first time here. My first year in photography. I just came today because I was gonna be part of the film crew. They put me on doors, so there was any doors. But yeah,
But why put you on door? I mean, what do you mean?
like so I can be able to make sure there's not any noise, so y'all won't get distracted.
Did that happen today?
One time it did, but I kind of tried to at least.
No, you did great. So what I want to say is, yes, I admitted that I just all of a sudden it overtook me and I started screaming at God. But not just screaming, I was screaming, I was throwing his verses back to him. You know, trust you with all of my heart and don't lean on my own understanding. I said, good God, because I don't understand. But why would I trust you when I'm in this situation? He loved the fact, I believe, that I was not only saying how I was feeling, but I was saying how I was feeling the way I was feeling. And I've said, there's 150 Psalms in the Bible, and most of them or a lot of them were written by King David. And as I read the Psalms, I realize that David starts pretty strong. I want you to kill my enemies. I want you, rah, rah. I mean, he's being real with God. But at the end of the Psalms, he closes by saying, but I trust my Lord, and I believe in my Lord, that type of thing. And the other one in the Bible, especially, is Job. Job had everything. He had kids, he had family, he had livestock, he had money, but he was very, very, very loyal to God. And it was the devil who said, well, then what about your servant Job? And so God said, okay, well, go ahead and test him, but just don't harm him. And he lost everything. And let me tell you something, and I think there's like 41 chapters in Job or something like that. I don't know. And there's a lot of times, at one point he said, why did I ever even get born? Why did I even come out of my mother's womb? That's pretty stout, But he was honest with God. And that's what God wants. He just, prayer, it can be as holy and everything else as you want it to be, but he wants you to be more yourself than anything else. Then he can be the potter and we're the clay because he can mold us the way he wants.
And he wants us to be honest with people too.
Yes.
I mean, too many times we walk around trying to cover up like, oh, it's okay. Oh, no big deal. And we don't say it in a nice way of, no, that is a big deal. That did hurt my feelings. We don't have to blast people, but we can tell them when
Well,
something hurts our feelings.
So in the secular world, just all of us hanging out and walking around and being in school or whatever, honesty is the best policy. That's what we say. And Jesus said, you will know the truth and the truth will set you free.
Wait, what do you want to do when you get older? Do you have any ideas? Why
well,
are you part of this group?
I'm just doing photography for fun, but I want to be an ultrasound tech. I want to be in radiology.
It's kind
Guess
of the
what?
same thing.
Guess what I just had done on Tuesday?
What?
Ultrasound.
Really?
Yes, yes. For my knee, it's a requirement that they take ultrasounds of my legs to make sure that there's no, first of all, that there's no opportunity or that there's no blood clots because they won't do surgery. But and you know, and my ultrasound tech, I've been there a few different times for different things, and she is the most wonderful person. You know, she's a good Christian woman, but she's just her demeanor. You know, so when you go into that, you know, one thing I can tell you is, you know, they say that doctors should have good bedside manner. A lot do, but some don't. But that's going to be the best part of you and being a tech.
And I'm gonna say, you know, we've got your life, we got our life points, but real life, think about how does photography in your book, how does that, and doing this, how does that lead to being an ultrasound tech? What do they have in common?
Well, they both have pictures. You need to look at pictures. Um, Radiology doesn't really have to do a lot with photography, but I can see where you're going with that.
And it's important that the students out there, if you're watching this, because she's going to tell her friends and y'all are all going to watch this. When you're watching this, think about that. What you want to do, how is that tying in with what I'm like this? I mean, now that you've made that connection, that is so important to keep that in the back of your mind because everything you do towards that goal is reminding you of like, oh yeah, I see why I'm doing this. So good call. Look at you. You added to our audience. Thank you.
And I want to tell you, dinner wouldn't be anything without what? How do you finish dinner? Dessert.
Look at you. That's a good tie-in.
I know. All righty.
I liked that live point.
Well,
Thank you.
so here's another one that I'm not going to cook because this one ends up baking. And when I moved down south, I never heard of dump cake. And I was actually working the '96 Olympics in Atlanta. And the executive chef at the time, the one who led everything for the main kitchen in Olympic Stadium, for closing ceremonies, he said, okay, Tim, it was in Georgia, and the #1 fruit in Georgia is peaches. So he said, I need you to make peach dump cake. So I thought they were messing with me because again, people just like today, they was like, hey, you know, are you from New York? And you know, I thought they were kind of messing with, you know, we were there for like 3 weeks. And you know, you really bond as a team. But you know, bonding also has a little bit of messing around. And he said, I need you to make, you know, I don't know, 60 pans of peach dump cake. And I said, come on, Billy, dump cake, you know, thing called dump cake. And he goes, sure. Oh, yeah, that's right. You're not from down south. So, anyway, I made dump cake. And of course, I've learned to really love dump cake.
And it's interesting because it's a lot of dry and it's interesting how it melds together from the dry ingredients, especially the cake mix.
Yeah. So, for dump cake, you can use fresh fruit, no doubt about it. If you use fresh fruit, then you have to have, and I'll get to it. This is, again, all canned fruit because we know they're giving out canned peaches. We know they're giving out canned pears and they're dried raisins, excuse me, dried cranberries. But anyway, so I put in some peaches there were sliced peaches that I diced up, sliced pears that I diced up. Now, I drained these and I reserved the syrup. The syrup is going to be really important. I've already bloomed or plumped these dried cranberries. So that's a step that you would have to do. And honestly, you can put those in a bowl with water and put them in the microwave for like a minute. You just need to soften them up a little bit because they're going to continue to soften, you know, when they're baking. Once again, I
And
like to.
plump cranberries taste so different than dried cranberries.
Yep. Although I love the dried cranberries too.
Mhm.
So I've got, again, I always tell you, I like to make sure that I mix all the ingredients so that when I put in other ingredients, you're not going to have too many peaches here and too many pears there. So it's nice and evenly distributed, just like when I saute or cook items, I like to put the dry ingredients in now. So this is a combination of cinnamon and nutmeg. Now, if you don't have nutmeg or whatever, just
Or pumpkin pie seasoning?
pumpkin pie seasoning, I mean, at this time of year would be pumpkin pie seasoning, which has pumpkin pie seasoning is cinnamon, nutmeg, a little bit of clove, and ginger, all the dry powdered items. Same thing, I'm going to make sure that they're all evenly mixed in here. That looks pretty darn good. I'm going to add sugar.
Now, could you make it where you didn't add sugar because of maybe you are diabetic
Yeah,
or?
yeah. I mean, if you don't use any, you can use a sugar. There's a lot of sugar replacements out there. I'm not the foremost authority on sugar replacements, so I would just check on whether they have aspartame or whatever. A friend of ours, Chef Ryan, invented Sola, which is a pure natural uh, sweetener, and it's the perfect substitute for sugar, and actually they stopped making it, now they started making it again. But anyway, you look into something that is going to be, diabetic friendly, I guess.
What if you use like honey?
Yep, you can use honey. It's a
Would
great
that
question.
would that matter as far as the consistency of the cake mix?
No, I mean, you just,
The duck cake?
no, not really, not really, because of its thickness. You can use honey, you can use agave nectar. That's a great question. So anyway, it's nice and evenly mixed. Now I'm going to add the syrup. If you didn't save the syrup or you're using fresh fruits, then you can add a little bit of water. You could add some orange juice or apple juice. You just need some type of liquid. And
And I heard that honey does not go bad.
yeah,
Isn't that crazy?
I was surprised when I heard that. I was really, really surprised. So now I have my oven-proof baking dish. And I'm going to put in as much as possible. Man, it looks like it's almost all
It
going to
looks
fit.
good.
Okay.
Looks
I
so
have to leave room because we have a special ingredient. And now I want to put in liquid so that I can see it just come to the top of the fruit. You can take that.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you can, I don't want to tip this too far. Can you see that? So I don't want it to be totally submerged.
And
So now,
we've got our
cake mix,
cake mix.
just dry cake mix. And the cake mix, I'm going to evenly put all over the top. I want to spread it evenly. There you go.
Okay.
And then I want to pack it down. I want to press because I want it to absorb that liquid. Now, it's not going to look like it absorbed it, but it's going to when it bakes. So this is what it looks like, just nicely packed.
Funny, it looks like flour. Mm-mm.
And I'm going to take, I don't have another
Another spoon?
plastic spoon.
Yes, sir. Right here.
It's like surgery, you have the guy says scalpel and sutures. And so I'm going to put these
Or
little,
ultrasound tech.
or ultrasound tech, I'm going to put these little dots of butter.
I love when students join us.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I love the insight. I think young people are fascinating and smart.
they're the next generation.
Way
They're the
smarter.
next generation, and it's their world now.
Mm-hmm.
And so being prepared in all different ways, I've said this before, in a million years, I never thought of being in the food business. Never. It was not anywhere on my mind. I wanted to be a farmer, and then I got more involved in music, so I went to school for music, and I needed to get a few extra dollars while I was going to music school and playing in bands. And so I got a job as a restaurant as a busboy. And 50 years later, I was a chef. It's crazy.
What is that called?
Uh,
Opportunities.
That is
When
opportunity.
an opportunity comes in front of you, take it. Don't pass it up, because sometimes I think we miss those opportunities.
So now, this is seems a little bit weird. I'm going to put in these little dots of cream cheese.
It's not weird. It makes it taste so
It really does.
delicious.
It really does. So I'm putting,
This is the weirdest, honestly. When you make cake, so you make a cake, you put in your eggs and your flour and your all the different pieces, but there's a lot of liquid. Even cake box cake mix, you use oil and eggs, and so it looks very liquidy. This does not look liquidy at
no,
all.
it doesn't at all.
It's almost, you feel like it's not going to come out the right way.
So this is how it looks. It's kind of weird.
But it is oh so good.
Well, because the cream cheese melts, but it still stays in a little bit kind of a ball. So most of the scoops that you get after it's baked are gonna have a little bit of the cream cheese, and that's what you want. You want to kind of say, if you have a pan this size, then I would put 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd probably do 6 times 4. I'd probably put 24 little dollops of cream cheese. So the final is cinnamon sugar. And we always have cinnamon sugar in our pantry. So just sprinkle that on top. And let me tell you the secret to cinnamon sugar, what the recipe is. It's cinnamon and sugar.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yep, I'm not kidding. And so you bake it about 350 degrees. And really what you want to see is that it starts to lightly brown on top, and that the filling is bubbling. I mean, you don't have to check the temperature. When it's bubbling, everything is melded together. And tell me if this doesn't look delish. And so there you have, basically a leftover fruit, Thanksgiving fruit dump cake.
We're on to our last life point. This has been an amazing day today. I'm glad you came and joined us. And thank you all for all of your, man, I love that we have different pieces of the puzzle here that
Yeah.
does the filming.
And we're going to be going back to the Elkhart High School classroom, Miss Reese's class, and just kind of, this is like not quite a halfway point, but just before the holidays, we'll have one more, during in December, but just to kind of review some of the things that these students have learned, ideas that they want to add to it, because like last year, we didn't give a final exam, but we told the students, think of this as your final exam. Anything that you think you can change, eliminate, add to it, or whatever, think about the May video being your final exam, and it's going to be, it's going to be graded. And so I know
it was accelerated. I was like, whoa,
Well, and the beauty of it is, I know that this group, they've learned, because before they even did this the first time in September or August, whichever one, they looked at and they watched some of the videos from last year. So they had some ideas, and again, that's the beauty of school, and that's the beauty of being young, is no rules, just right.
Our last life point, number 4, God, I've never thanked you for my thorns. And this is just a poem I found. God, I've never thanked you for my thorns. I thanked you for the roses, but not the thorns. Teach me the value of the thorns. And the scripture is Hebrews 11:6. Without faith, it's impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists, and he rewards those who earnestly seek him.
And think about it, that, thorns were the first ones that we shared with them today. Of course, we have to be thankful for the thorns that Jesus wore. I don't know that I'd want to wear that crown of thorns, but he was unselfish, he was selfless, and we're here today because we have a lot of those qualities that we're here doing volunteer work. I mean, all y'all, and the people out there that are distributing all the food.
And we are so glad you joined us. And so we'll review what our recipes are here.
So we have pear, cranberry, and peach relish. We have a leftover Thanksgiving shepherd's pie. We have a leftover Thanksgiving casserole. And last but not least, a peach and pear and cranberry dump cake. So just remember that whatever you have in your pantry, whatever you have in your refrigerator, 1.6 billion pounds of food, 40% of all food grown and purchased in the grocery store is wasted. So repurpose your food. That's what we say in the professional industry. We say repurpose your food. Find ways to, and if it's not good, if it's old, then I get it. But figure out what to do with it, and that's what think out of the can is. And so we always close by saying, remember, you gotta
Think out of the can.